Start as we mean to go on.
Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Today's episode is the Premier League predictions, week number 6. We are well and truly into the season now. It's not really early season form anymore. We're getting into these parts of the season where we start to see teams moving away from one another. For example, Liverpool have opened up a 5-point lead at the top of the Premier League already. Manchester City were beaten last week against Norwich. Nigel Farke's Norwich. They played extremely well against Chelsea, and people were saying that we were foolish for getting so excited about winning that match at Carrow Road. Manchester City, the Premier League champions, go there, get blown off the park. Well, I say blown off the park, it was 3-2, but Norwich thoroughly deserved that victory. The way they played out of the defence, the way they stuck to their style of football, no matter what opponents they're playing against. It's really, really good to see. Norwich are out of the relegation zone. They, this weekend, go to Burnley, and you can see here the empty fixture list. There are some tasty matches in there, and Chelsea is the final match of the weekend, and we're going to go into my prediction for that one a little bit later on in this video. Before we do anything else though, we've got to take a look at last week. I got 6 points. It was awful, really, for me yet again. However, 6 points was about average. There was over 200 entries last week, counted them all up, and these three, Mr. _2cups_ winning this week with 13 points, AJ Collins number 2 with 12, and Sean Ralph 0405 with 10. You guys can see on the screen now everybody who's been in the top for each week so far. If you guys are not yet following me on Twitter, I advise you do so. The first game this weekend is tomorrow night with Southampton versus Bournemouth. So if you want to get your entries in, you've got to get it in before the Southampton versus Bournemouth game. Link to the tweet is in the description. So Southampton versus Bournemouth is match number 1, and this is actually quite an exciting game. Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, they play some good attacking football, but defensively they're always a little bit shoddy. They're looking slightly better defensively this season, but I wouldn't say any mass improvements have been made. Southampton, on the other hand, they look very good defensively, and they also look very well drilled and very well organised under Ralph Hasenhüttl. I always get his name wrong, so I think I've got it right there for once. This is a good match. I think that I'm glad it's live. I'm probably going to sit in and watch this one on a Friday evening. My life has literally become to the point now where I have like a 2/3 of a pint and then I feel hungover the next day, which is very embarrassing. So no Friday night action for me. I might have a couple of beers at the game on Sunday. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. Southampton versus Bournemouth. What is my prediction for this one? I'm very impressed by Southampton. I think they've made a good start to the season. They could have got something in the game they were beaten in against Liverpool. And I think at home at St Mary's, they're going to beat Bournemouth by 2-0. The Saturday early kickoff is another corker on paper. Last night, we watched Tottenham give away a 2-goal lead away at Olympiacos. However, with Olympiacos' decent home record in Europe, you could say that it's not the worst result in the world for Spurs, but giving away a 2-goal lead is never anything to be too pleased about. Leicester, they'll be disappointed that they didn't create more last week against Manchester United. They were beaten 1-0 thanks to a Marcus Rashford penalty at home. They're going to see this one as a must-win game if they've got aspirations to move up the table this season under Brendan Rodgers, which I'm pretty sure quietly Leicester City do see a gap this season to potentially move up. But I do think this one's going to be a tough one, and we've seen Spurs put in some very good away performances in the Premier League over the last couple of years. Pochettino is a tactically astute manager. He knows what he's doing. He goes into these matches with a clear plan, and I think Spurs are going to do enough to get 3 points away at Leicester. I've not actually predicted Leicester to lose yet this season, apart from against Chelsea. I thought they were going to beat Manchester United. I can eat some humble pie and say United won that game and did very well to do so, but I think Leicester are going to get back-to-back defeats here. Leicester 1, Spurs 2. You hate to see it. Surely I'm not going to predict Chelsea to lose and Tottenham to win in the same episode. The Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. We talked about Nigel Farke's Norwich. They travel to Burnley, who again have not made the worst start to the season. Sean Dyche's team, they're picking up results. They're putting in some good performances. They were quite lucky to get the draw last week, but it was a great goal to get the late equaliser. I can't split these two teams up. I think that Norwich are obviously going to be a lot better at home than they will be away, but they do need to start picking up points away from home if they don't want to be involved in this relegation battle conversation. I think it's going to finish 1-1. Burnley's result was 1-1 last week. I predicted that one. It was the one I got correct. I see a replica this week. Everton versus Sheffield United. Everton, they've been disappointing. I mean, we always talk about Everton as a team who, on paper, they look good. They've got good players. They've supposedly got a decent manager in Marco Silva. Sheffield United last week weren't great either. Beaten at home to Southampton. Everton, this game could go either way, to be honest. I think neither side were good last week. And I think Everton on the whole, they really need to start getting wins. Otherwise, it's going to be another poor season for them. Fans frustrated. Manager, not fulfilling expectations, but I do think they'll win this weekend. I think it's going to be Everton 2, Sheffield United 0. We've seen good things about Sheffield United, and it's up to Chris Wilder now to make sure that what is a semi-predictable tactical performance from Sheffield United, we can all kind of understand what they're going to try to do at least. He's got to make sure he can be pragmatic in the approach to games and the approach to different teams. I think Everton at home going to be a difficult prospect for Sheffield United, but then again, Chelsea away was supposedly a difficult prospect too, and they got a point there. I don't think it's going to work for them this week. Everton 2, Sheffield United 0. Manchester City versus Watford. So we saw Fernandinho go back into centre-back yesterday against Shakhtar Donetsk for Manchester City. They've got no Laporte for 5 to 6 months, no John Stones for 5 to 6 weeks. You could say that this is as close to a crisis that Manchester City could possibly be in. They're not blessed with tons of centre-backs, although if you take a player out with an injury going forward, they can just bring in somebody who's just as good the next game. It doesn't really matter for them in that sense, but centre-back, having lost Vincent Kompany, the natural leader of that team, having Fernandinho go back into centre-back, it's not that worrying for City because Fernandinho is a class player. He's one of the best, probably more underrated players in the Premier League in my opinion. But Watford last week, they really impressed me. Against Arsenal, to come from 2-0 down to get that draw, they were unlucky not to win the game last week against Arsenal at Vicarage Road. I think that Watford were very good, and I think they can go to Manchester City, and I don't think they're going to get anything from the game, but I think it's going to be a good match, and I think there's going to be goals. I'm going to go Man City 3, Watford 2. City just to edge it, but without Stones and Laporte, I think they're going to concede a few more than they would have done with them in the team. Newcastle versus Brighton. I'm going to make a statement here, and this is going to annoy some people. I don't have a second club, okay? There's no way I'm supporting any other Premier League team ever than Chelsea Football Club. It's a no-brainer. However, if there is one team whose results I like to see in a positive trajectory that has no impact on Chelsea, it's Newcastle. I like to see Newcastle do well, and I'm going to go and say Newcastle to beat Brighton in the Saturday late kickoff 2-0 So moving into Sunday's matches, we're getting closer and closer to me having to give a prediction for Chelsea versus Liverpool. But the first one we're going to look at is Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Wolves have still not to win in the Premier League. At the time of me recording this, they've not played their first Europa League group game. That is tonight. What do I think is going to happen in this one? Palace, again, you're unsure what you're going to get. Last week at Spurs, they were awful in the first half. Were absolutely beaten before the game had even got halfway through. They're going to need a result here. And Wolves are absolutely desperate for a result. Let's talk about Wolves last week against Chelsea. Obviously, in the majority of my post-match analysis and in the majority of my match vlog last week, I was focused on my team. Chelsea were phenomenal last weekend, but Wolves, on the other hand, were really, really poor defensively. They were really, really poorly organised. They got 2 goals late on. I thought Patrick Cutrone was probably their best player when he came on, and I expect him to start at Palace. I think he might get another goal, but I don't see Wolves getting their first win here. I think Palace are going to be difficult to beat at Selhurst Park. Going to say 1-1. Wolves still searching for that lucrative first win. Or elusive first win. That makes a bit more sense. It's not really that lucrative at this stage. So another tasty match, by all means not the tastiest match of Sunday, West Ham versus Manchester United. I've been getting a lot of stick from Man United fans, which is always difficult because United fans have often got the people that comment a lot on these videos. Man United fans don't like it that I keep predicting their team to get beat. I'm not going to predict you to get beat this weekend against West Ham, and not because I'm frightened of a couple of negative comments that made me cry. No. West Ham. I'm not fully convinced. I was checking out Spencer's tweets before the game, and he was pretty confident they were going to go to Aston Villa and win and get themselves up to 3rd in the table as a result of that win. It didn't happen. The game between Aston Villa and West Ham is 90 minutes of my life that I wish I could get back, apart from the 3 or 4 minutes where Tyrone Mings and El Ghazi looked as though they were going to knock 10 bells into one another. West Ham versus Man United, 1-1 draw at the Olympic Stadium. I don't see either team being, I'm going to say it again, I don't see either team being good enough to beat the other, but I think it could be a good game. That's the worst footballing analysis I've ever given. I thoroughly apologise, but I'm keeping it in there. 1-1. So now we're at the main course of this weekend's Premier League football. We got Sunday 4:30 kickoffs. I'm still not used to saying 4:30. It's still usually a 4 o'clock Sunday kickoff for me, but we're getting there. 4:30 kickoff. Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Arsenal will be absolutely furious with the way they threw away that 2-goal lead at Watford. They should have lost that game. Watford were phenomenal in the second half. Arsenal, on the other hand, defensively shambolic. It looks as though Chelsea have done a good thing at this point, selling David Luiz to Arsenal. And although me and David no, that's the wrong one. Although me and David pretty tight these days, you know, it's not been the best start to his Arsenal career, really, has it? They're still shipping in goals. They shipped in, I think it was 28 shots that Watford had in that game last weekend. And I feel as though Arsenal are going to still struggle defensively throughout this entirety of the season. Got an email. Is that a bit? Oh, bloody hell, I'm falling off the chair. Bloody estate agents, and never leave me alone. I think Arsenal are going to win this one at home. I think that attack is still one of the best attacks in the league. Nicola Pepe still looking for his first goal. I've said it every single week. I think he's going to score it. I don't. I think Lacazette will bag 2 this weekend against Villa. Aston Villa 2. No. It's early again. I record these videos early in the morning at the moment because the sun comes in my office late in the day and it makes me look like a ghost. Arsenal 2. Aston Villa 0. So the big game of this weekend, yet again, it involves the mighty Chelsea. Chelsea versus Liverpool. 2 teams who were humbled to Champions League Group Stage Week 1 defeats this week. Liverpool were beaten 2-0 away at Napoli, showing that they are in fact beatable. Chelsea were beaten at home to Valencia in what was nothing shy of a dreadful performance, and I've moved away from that now. Seeing the Valencia badge in 4 different thumbnails in a row on the channel is actually making me quite annoyed, so I should just upload more videos, shouldn't I? So, Chelsea versus Liverpool. I've not actually wrote down, I do the predictions graphics the night before I record the videos. I didn't do one for Chelsea versus Liverpool because I still don't know. And right now, I'm in a position where I can't not give a prediction because that's the whole purpose of this flipping video. Let's just say this. Liverpool, right now, are a better, more complete team than Chelsea are. As much as it pains me to say it, it's the truth. I'm going to try and be as realistic as I possibly can. However, ever there was a day where Chelsea can just do a Chelsea. And when I say do a Chelsea, when we're not expected to win, we do very well. I remember the game against Manchester City at home last season. I went there genuinely thinking we were going to get battered. I went to that game with 0 expectations of anything coming out of that game. We won the match 2-0 and we were phenomenal. We have a way, Chelsea Football Club, they have a way of playing very well in the big moments against the teams who are playing extremely well. Have I seen enough from Frank Lampard's Chelsea to think that that is possible this weekend on Sunday? Yes, I have seen enough. I think at times we have looked very, very good. One of the main issues is, of course, Mason Mount. There's the moment with Coquelin to try and end Mason Mount's career. Luckily, Mason's career isn't over. He's probably going to miss this game against Liverpool and he probably will be back next week. He won't feature against Grimsby. There's no point throwing him in for that one. So next weekend, Mason Mount will likely be starting again for Chelsea. So bearing in mind he's probably not going to play against Liverpool, I do struggle to see where the creativity is going to come for Chelsea in a game where we're going to need to be very creative going forward in order to win the game. Not only that, Mane, Firmino and Salah, they're world class. Each and every one of them in their own right and in their own way are phenomenal. I've said it before, I think Sadio Mane is Liverpool's main man this season. I think Firmino has just got that deft touch, that just brilliant footballing mind, and Mo Salah is Mo Salah. He doesn't really need explaining, but Mane's their main man, and he's the man that I'm most worried about in this game. Liverpool, how can Chelsea win this game? Well, I'm going to go into it in a lot more detail in my match preview that's going to be going out on Saturday, but flipping heck, this is hard because you guys know me. I'm an optimistic Chelsea fan. I just think Chelsea can pull it out the bag in a game like this. I really do. However, I'm going to stick to an element of realism here today. I'm going to say Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2. I think that would be a brilliant result for Chelsea right now. There's absolutely no way we're keeping a clean sheet. From what I've seen in every match we've played this season, even in pre-season, there's no way we're keeping a clean sheet against such a brilliant attacking Liverpool team. I just can't predict us to lose. I just really don't. From the bottom of my flipping heart and my brain, well, is it there? Or I just see Chelsea turning up against Liverpool. If we go 1-0 down in the first 15 minutes, it could get ugly. This is a huge game for Frank Lampard. It's a massive match for Chelsea. No matter how many injuries there are, Mason's injury, could that see Callum Hudson-Odoi brought into the fray a little bit earlier than Frank would have liked? There are so many risks that could be taken that I'm going to go into in so much more detail in my preview. Going to say 2-2. I know some people will think I'm crazy because of how good Liverpool have been, but they were beaten by Napoli 2-0. They're beatable. And Chelsea, we have a knack of turning up in these big matches. So that has been week number 6 of the Premier League predictions. I am currently still waiting for EA Access to launch FIFA 20. So the reason there's not been a Chelsea career mode video yet, and there still might not be one today, because apparently even though it's releasing on the 19th for EA Access, they're releasing it at 8 PM, which is farcical in my opinion, but it is what it is. So the next Chelsea career mode video, the first one of FIFA 20, will be uploaded as soon as I possibly can. That's the best I can do at this stage. If they don't give me access to 8 PM, there's definitely not going to be a video today, but tomorrow, 100%, you guys will get episode number 1 of what I'm hoping is going to be the best Chelsea career mode I could possibly make. I won't say on YouTube, but quietly within this channel and within the community, we can hope that it is. Let me know your predictions by responding to the tweet that is linked in the description. Leave a like if you enjoy this series, a bit more rounded in sense of the Premier League and not always just focused on Chelsea. Big games this weekend, very excited for it with the last one on Sunday, and I cannot wait for it. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. Catch you all later. Goodbye.